the tariffs are low, and for the electrical sector is not really complex. It's not the same when the oil barrel was at $100 per barrel. Now $30–40, things are much easier. This is a general presentation, but we have here a general overview about the countries. For instance, in Egypt is the biggest country in the area. They have they have private producers. They have wind farms in the Zafarana area. In Jordan, they have also some wind farms, but still vertically integrated companies. And here also the different cases. Morocco, they have Morocco is special because they have sun, like in Tunisia. There are also good wind conditions. There's sun and wind. In Tunisia are much more sun than wind. And the other part, Algeria is a big gas producer, so things are much easier for them, or more difficult for renewable energies in Algeria than the other countries. So this is a document. It was evolved as the World Bank. One of the problems for electrical companies in the area, the Mediterranean area, they have the debt ratio is very high. So then they need to have independent producers, because otherwise they cannot afford new power plants. In this figure, you can see here, well, there are different companies, but Tunisia, for instance, where Tunisia is not here. So, but well, you can see normally when you have a rate debt equity of around 1 is fine. Here you can see there are many companies. This value is over this typical figure of 1. So the conclusion of this section is it's important to give the opportunity to private investors to participate in generation, because the prices now, I will put some examples, are much lower than in the past, and this is a great opportunity for many photovoltaics and wind. When we're speaking about renewable energies, we are speaking not only big power plants like this one, we are speaking about also small turbines or medium-sized turbines. And in case of photovoltaics, we are speaking about rooftop solutions. Well, this is not roof, this is a balcony, but this is a typical industry, and this is photovoltaics on the ground. When we're speaking about low prices, we are evidently speaking about the big photovoltaic installations. In this case, we are not going to compete with nuclear or combined cycles. Here, we are going to compete with the domestic household tariffs. I am coming mainly from the wind sector, and we see now we're very concerned about photovoltaics. Photovoltaics is becoming more and more competitive thanks to the production from China. So this is a technical, scientific scenario, and the Chinese producers are really competing with in all areas, not only in wind and photovoltaics. There are also batteries. Your lithium batteries are mainly coming from China. So, in this case, for photovoltaics, the modules coming from China, they are doing the prices very low. Well, this is how projects are normally done. So, technological development, you are working in this part. So we are very capital intensive investment. And also we need time to improve the technology. So it's true that the photovoltaics 10 years ago, the cost was 10 times higher than today. This has been a surprise for everybody. Probably there are some subsidies from the Chinese government for photovoltaic modules, but the reduction of price of silicon, it has been really huge. Well, there are different payment mechanisms. I will show you later some examples. Now, people are not looking for incentives. People are looking for hedging, some way of covering risks. And also initiative permits. I was involved in the past in a wind farm here in Tunisia. This, well, it takes some time to get the permits, to get the connection to the grid, because we are producing power, and not always, especially in your country, but also in Morocco and Algeria, the wind is strong enough to accept the integration of wind and photovoltaic projects. I have 2 more minutes, 5 minutes, or 5 minutes, yeah. 5. Okay, with the scheme, you remember, no? When I was speaking, there are different ways of helping renewable energies. In the past, the most common was the feed-in tariff. That doesn't exist anymore. The feed-in tariff, it was a way of paying a fixed amount for all the generation. And now, almost all the countries are concentrated in auctions. Auction means that you offer the price, and who offers the lowest price is the winner. And this is making a good method, because make a pressure on prices, and it's a combination between developer and manufacturer, and between them are able to offer the lowest prices. So this is how actions are growth in the world. Almost all countries are using the auction method. Here is Algeria. I don't know if in Algeria there are any cases, but in Morocco, I will show you now the prices. The way of reducing power has been, the reducing prices has been thanks to the auctions. Well, which is the most important thing in the renewable energies? The most important thing is the capex, the investment. So you are coming from scientific world. Keep in mind that cost is fundamental. Especially, we need to compete with Chinese or Asian producers. So all the goals should be addressed to reduce the cost of the equipment and to maintain their reliability. So it's important also that not to have many faults in the operation, because finally the production is going to be affected. And the second factor is generation. You need to go to areas with high radiation, like here in Tunisia for sun, also for wind farms. And these are the 2 main factors: the investment and wind and radiation, because the cost of primary source is 0. You have sun, you have wind, and you have no. So you need to keep in mind that you need to find really good places for installing your renewable projects. All of these you need to compare with the cost of capitals. If you are Energy Power, for instance, a very successful company around the world. You know, there are many Italians in the room. So Energy Power is winning almost all the projects. Not all, but in a lot of countries, Enel is winning. And Enel should compare the prices with the cost of capital. There are also some critics to Enel because they are bursting the market, offering so low prices. So I will show you now some cases in some countries, because well, in Morocco, in Mexico, in Peru, they have been the auctions method. So this is the main idea here, just to show you what it has been the reduction of photovoltaics, dramatic reduction of photovoltaics thanks to the mass production from Chinese manufacturers. For wind is much more complex, because we still have copper, but we are not able to reduce the prices at the same level of photovoltaics. And now photovoltaics is a great competitor of wind farms. This is the result of the actions. For instance, we can see here the case of Morocco for wind, 30 euros per megawatt hour. I can assure you that to produce power with a combined cycle is more expensive than to produce with a wind farm. This is Energy Power, who was the winner. We use Siemens turbines, but we have also in the United States 47 euros per megawatt hour. Even with shale gas, you know, the gas from fracking, we can compete without any problem. But going to sun, here you can see in Chile, we have $65 per megawatt hour. In Peru, 48. So with these prices, we can compete without any problem with all kind of conventional power plants. A small comment about thermal power plants. They are still very expensive compared to photovoltaics or wind. And the problem with solar thermal, probably you know the Maghrenov projects in Morocco, is they are not being able to reduce the prices to reach the same level than photovoltaics or wind. Well, a few words about what is the problem of integration. We need to produce power, but we need also to control the voltage. We need also to control frequency. And for this, we use normally, this is the case of Spain. In Spain, we are, the system operator is controlling our plants, and we have a centralized control because there is one really pernicious effect, is the curtailments. So you, for instance, produce excess of wind power and you cannot sell in the market, so the system operator cartel limits the generation of wind farms. In that case is where some companies are proposing to produce hydrogen. Instead of cutting the production of the wind farms, they say, why you don't put electrolyzer, and with electrolyzer you produce hydrogen, and the hydrogen you can use in a fuel cell or use in a turbine. And it's because otherwise you are going to lose the wind production. This is a typical example. Wind is coming. This is in Spanish, but this is to understand. This is the wind is coming from here, and there is producing DC, and DC feeds an electrolyzer. And the electrolyzer you can produce hydrogen, and the hydrogen is later on burned. This is a project called Aeropila. The project has been already dismantled. I worked in the Commission 20 years ago, and at that time we launched a program for fuel cells. And we call 10 years fuel cells. With the goal is to have commercial fuel cells in 10 years. 20 years later, we have no commercial fuel cells. So it's like the nuclear fusion. We are still 50 years to have commercial products. So I am rather skeptical. I'm sorry, because I know that many of you are working in the hydrogen. Hydrogen is fine, but fuel cells is a very complex technology because you have materials. So you have a lot of work to do as researchers to have commercial products. But my experience after 20 years of creating this program is rather skeptical about how we are going to obtain commercial fuel cell products. The last comment is I believe much stronger in batteries, especially in the batteries, ion lithium batteries are linked to vehicles. Well, I will be going to put the conclusions somewhere. I pushed the wrong button. Well, in conclusions, so renewable energies are becoming the main source of power because they are easy to install and maintain, and furthermore they are cheaper. The actions schemes have allowed to have very low prices due to reduction of cost, but keep in mind that the prices are so low because products are coming from Chinese, and also because some companies like Energy Power is still a public company, is doing really low prices offers. The primary resource variability, so sun and wind are variable, can be resolved using forecasting, so we can forecast the generation for the following day, and this will allow the use of spinning reserve for conventional power plants. And also using batteries, using hydrogen could help to keep the grid stability. So there is a bright future for renewable energies, so I encourage that you follow in this area. And also a recommendation, I don't know if someone from STEF is in the room, I don't think so, but I think Tunisia has still a lot of things to do with renewable energies. Unfortunately, a wind farm from STEF is half stopped due to problems with the turbines, but I hope that in the future Tunisia will also enter into the renewable energy, and these are bright futures of our Tunisia with renewable energies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. When I invited you to give this presentation, it was exactly what you're trying, what you did. So to give the impression of the industrialist about the market, because we are speaking about research to innovation. Students have research without listening to the innovators, without listening to the market. So I would like to give the floor now to Dr. Claude AYACHE. Claude AYACHE has a long background in everything related to energy, and now he's in KIC InnoEnergy, that is the innovation community for energy, putting together the industries and research centers.
Thank you, Alberto. Yes, thank you, Dr. CEñA. Actually, you are also an expert for KIC InnoEnergy, and so it's a pleasure to continue after you. I will not enter into any consideration about the technology or the markets. My goal in this presentation is to give an overview about the Maghrenov project, which is a 2i project, and especially what we have produced in mid-February in Marseille, in an international conference where many of you were attending. It's this.
The last one.
The last one. Okay. So I will just very briefly go to the what is Maghrenov, also the Marseille International Conference, and with a taste, because there were so many issues out of this conference, a taste of results and assets, and also a question the sustainability and how to consolidate the R2I's experience, because at the end of this year all R2I's will be finished. So, sorry. Maghrenov was conceived as Maghrenov was conceived as a mixed action. First, supporting between Europe, Morocco, and Tunisia research, renewable energies, and energy efficiency. Also with the concept of knowledge triangle that is dealing with, together with education, innovation, meaning that we bridge the gap between research and the market, and finally business creation. And also recognizing that there is a gap in the development between Europe, most European countries, and our two southern countries, dealing with capacity building. This concept, emerged from the Barcelona conference, and we had a goal to promote Euro-Mediterranean innovation space, ELIS, by developing co-creation, North-South, research, industry, and without forgetting the necessary skills at all levels. developing also a shared vision and learning how to implement things together and especially to experiment different points. So we had three main activities on innovation and business creation, education, research and infrastructures, and infrastructure means both physical and immaterial ones. So around the concept of R2I, I do not enter into this concept. It was explained by Alberto this morning, and I will come back about the future of this. Concerning the challenges and key results, we grouped around the education, the capacity building, joint stimulation of innovation, and we try to develop the convergence by constructing a more political vision. And also we question how to continue the collaboration. And a very good reference about all those aspects can be found in the presentation by Refat Charbonny at Marseille conference, and it is now in line, and so you can refer, I refer you to this presentation. So the conference in Marseille was held on the 11 and 12 with that. 11 and 12 of February at Villa Méditerranée. It was a very nice place. And we addressed all kinds of actors from business, from industry, from startups, research centers, university institutions, policymakers. So, and at the end of the day, we succeeded to have people from all those fields. So, a little bit more than 170 participants from all sectors. We also associated more than 10 Euro-Mediterranean relevant projects from 18 different countries from both sides of the Mediterranean. Especially, we developed the organization of a part of the conference together with the three projects, Excella 2020, Mare, and MedSpring, and we organized 2 days around 3 dialogues and 3 workshops. Dialogues were more for exchanges, and workshops were more execution-oriented. So we intended to have a platform, to construct a platform to promote EMI's next steps, framing the base for an original Euromed clean tech market, helping develop original approach to innovation and entrepreneurship, and consolidating a joint position about the EMIs. So the 3 dialogues were constructed about the first one, education for facilitating the emergence of EMIs game changers. Game changers are those people who are able to, whatever their position in the supply chain, to take the lead, you see, for operating the transition to low carbon technologies and insert them in real social life. Second dialogue was constructed about how what should be the infrastructure for research and innovation through testing platforms, constructing knowledge database, building innovation roadmaps. And the third dialogue was more focused on the business creation linked with technological innovation and trying to engage quick start initiatives by co-financing and support services that we can develop together. So the 3 workshops were again about the first one about education system for facing the renewable energy and energy efficiency challenge in Dennis with a scope to practical goals. The second workshop reported by Alberto about cluster, how to better structure the cluster around the Mediterranean with both EU and southern countries, and with the concept now of meta-cluster that Alberto mentioned this morning, and recommendation to foster the renewable energy and energy efficiency policy to better structure together at the political level the initiative and make that it is easy for all the actors to work together. So concerning the education, I can give you some of the results which were done during the preparation of the conference. That is development of a concept of an Erasmus project. Well, a part of the project is an Erasmus, but it is called the EU Format, and with university participating from Europe and Maghreb, so UPC in Catalonia, KTH in Sweden, IST in Portugal, and Polytechnic School in France. In Maghreb, we have the Université Mohamed V, Université Euro-Méditerranéenne de Fès, University of Casablanca, and in Tunisia, ENIM and ELIT were participating. It does not mean that other university has rejected, but this is really a core of people working together in really integrated core. Besides also as an output of the conference, sorry. We we had the concept of an energy challenge, which is to create a fellowship open for students in MPC and sponsored by industry. This is already running under KIC InnoEnergy, especially by our Iberia node, and we want to extend that at Mediterranean, in the Mediterranean concept. And we expect to launch it by COP22. Concerning capacity building, what is quite important is the fact that we have roadmaps, constructed roadmaps for photovoltaics, solar thermal electricity, onshore wind, energy efficiency with the smart cities and buildings, energy efficiency industry, and more recently in biomass. I guess that Dr. CEñA was consulted for some part of this job. And all is in a repository, knowledge database. And to give you a taste, we had identified different segments These roadmaps are not generic roadmap, but really adapted to regional, climatic, economical, and social characteristics. That is, we have consulted experts from all the fields to establish that, but with a focus on Mediterranean context and specificities. And so on all the different lines, we try to evaluate the readiness level, of course, but all a whole set of parameters like cost decrease, operability, the production, available industry near to the possible use, and so long and so forth. And so that means it is a very valuable tool for developing and monitoring the evolutions. For the joint simulation of innovation, the main issue concerned a joint goal for innovation, which is which try to experiment a cooperation around project innovation for sustainable energy and innovation by bridging between research and results and markets. So eligible teams are indicated there. And now we have run these calls previously with IRSN 2015, 2016 the selection is ongoing. It is at experimental level, but now we are clearly ready, we feel to be ready to open the field for a much broader extension of this cause. This is the will to be of IRSN and KIC InnoEnergy to continue beyond the Maghrenov contract, and it would be nice, of course, to have also our colleagues from Tunisia to participate, and we hope that it will be possible in the near future. Now, how to develop the convergence? It's a more political approach, which is very convergent with a recent, it was issued at the end of 2015, an actualization of the European neighborhood policy, especially for south part. And Maghrenov addresses from the start 4 out of 9 ENP priorities, which are mentioned here: energy security and climate action, partnerships for growth, employment and employability focus on youth, and economic modernization and entrepreneurship. So on all these aspects, we have results, we have thought about the different points, especially by 3 white papers which were written by Rifat Chaboni and again presented at the Marseille conference. And also it was the floor of the dialogue 3, which is not fully finalized, but it was done especially with Claudio Bogliotti and Yanis Gerotalis, and this is under process, and it will be put on the site of the Marseille conference. So the 3 white papers taking the advantage of the experience of of Maghrenov it concerns new educational entrepreneurial programs, adequate new research infrastructures, and innovative business stimulation. So I will not enter into the details of that, but I prefer to say that these documents exist and could structure the next steps in our action. Finally, I would like to report a reflection that we have conducted together with initially with our colleagues from ETRERA and MARE, that is the energy at Douai. We consider that we have experimented up to now, but we need to enter into a sustained and increased implementation, with especially financing capability for this step. And that means that we can be real actors of the EMIS. We are ready for that. So this reflection has been extended to all the other actors of the Air2I's alliance in the Euro-Mediterranean context. Alberto has already mentioned this issue, and we have identified together 10 points in Messina last September and consolidated in October. And this was a joint work. That is, we are not competing Maghrenov against ETRERA, but converging really, putting all our experience together. So, very briefly, because I think that time is running, the 10 points is to set up a network of innovation agencies, widespread smart specialization in the Mediterranean context, and linked especially with the clusters and meta-cluster concept, setup of testing platforms and research infrastructures, soft skills, create the community of people able to change the game, use the facilities, and so on and so forth, quite important. Launching joint calls for proposals targeted to transnational accelerators, again and oriented to new products and services relevant to the Mediterranean environment. Stimulate entrepreneurial innovation, open ecosystem. Again, this refers to the cluster issue. Support innovators' company missions, that is really within the companies, help emerging technologies to be incorporated and deployed. Platform for public procurement, that is creating a real procurement market around the Mediterranean with empowered enterprises able to answer international tenders, and also stimulating South-South cooperation. A deal also for helping the researchers diaspora to fund spin-offs and startups, and stimulate integration and convergence of technologies, identifying some technological drivers like the food, water, energy nexus, grid connections and interconnecting, digitalization, and last but not least is really considering the demand-side driver, especially for solar PV. The agenda next is running. We had the meeting in Malta under Medspring for considering the Nexus concept. Alberto presented the 10 Messina points in the GSO meeting in Brussels in November. Maghrenov International Conference was the main point of this presentation. We are now in Gamart. It is a possibility for a step further. We are preparing an event about Earthwise at the European preparation in September. Very important rendezvous will be in Marrakesh in COP22, because now the big question is how to implement the commitment of COP21. Also important will be the Malta presidency at first semester of 2017, because there will be a launch of a so-called PRIMA project. For me, I don't want to say anything against PRIMA. PRIMA is very good, but this project concerns mainly water and food community, and energy, sustainable energy is addressed only by the side. I think it should be central. So it is not addressed correctly, as well as innovation. It's not just because you have industry in the project that innovation and support is really taken into account properly. So it is also important at the political context to report on the Earthwide experience. It is important to provide with sustainability, especially by the experience that we have gained, all of us at operational level by launching calls. I already said that a part of these calls will continue even without money, but of course it will be more restricted to collaboration for the time being between Morocco and the European Union. Also recognize the driving role of climate change and sustainable energy. Mediterranean area is really the region, one of the regions of the world which is most affected by the climate change, both in south and north of Mediterranean. Also, we have developed a comprehensive role of actors, from the knowledge triangles now to the concept launch within especially the ETERA 2020 of the 5 helix. And but anyway, we develop a shared vision through cluster networking. And also we have established a dialogue between public and private commitment. We are able to support an exchange of work between both part of the public-private partnership. Now it means that also we need a strong political support with proactive countries and institutions. I think that proactive countries, if we want to solve the problem for all Mediterranean, it could be far from reach. I think that we should take the lead now to start something. It could be within 5+5, it could be larger. Anyway, variable geometry is important. We have to commit to group countries and